Welcome to a podcast capturing the antics of two geeks who talk about video game culture and influence, both old and new, all through chaotic banter and tangential tangents that make no sense. My name is Mask.
I'm in awe of this lad.
This is my pal Red.
Head empty, heart gold, and soul silver.
And together we make the Reddmasq Podcast.
And this is episode 12. Let's go, Oob. Let's go, Boo. Oob. Boob.
Amazing.
Okay. How are we gonna flow this here? I know I had a big talk planned, so maybe we can kind of lead off with that.
Go ahead, I'll listen.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, last episode I also led with a big talk, so I'm just self-conscious about that. There's a game that is very near and dear to me that's having its 10th anniversary by the time we put out this episode, which is going to be on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, aka Single Awareness Day, aka Discount Candy New Year's Eve, basically.
I mean, yeah, it's just another day. Who gives a shit?
There's going to be a reason you should care about that day, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show here, but the reason that I want to bring up here is Strider. Strider is a game that I had began my speedrunning career with at a very young age, and in preparations for the show, I tried to get some of the old cast and crew together, but I think we all kind of realize that time has taken its passage, its toll on all of us, and the passion isn't there anymore. The community has disbanded, things have come and gone, travels have been had, good times have been had, and, well, the community is gone. For the speedrunning community behind the game is gone. All the tech is still there, all the videos are still there, all the memories, they're still there, but it still lives on as long as people are willing to talk about it, and darn it, let's talk about this game a little bit.
You'll be leading this one, because I've not touched this game ever.
I mean, I showed you a little bit about, like, what Cross Zone Part 2 that had Strider in it was about. There's an independent, like, artist, Moto Kyaku. He also does the comics for Strider. It was a whole thing around the 80s, and, like, the original NES game was terrible. It wasn't a great game, but it was a game that kind of solidified that name, and then Strider on Genesis came out and blew it the fuck away. That game was beautiful. And it was a port of the arcade version, which was actually the best version, yeah.
The original was arcade version.
And then the PS2, Strider 2, kind of superseded that. And that game was just like a whole other level of just like arcade goodness. It had load times, yes, but it was still really fast-paced, really flashy, really nice to play.
Yep.
And then he lived on in Marvel vs. Capcom for the longest time, Strider Hiryu. And that was his only claim to fame for a long time. Until 2014 rolled around, where this game got announced by Double Helix, who had been doing Killer Instinct for that time, before they got absorbed into Amazon. And lo and behold, a star was born. Like many Strider games before it, it was held together by tinsel and very shoddy programming, but it was a darn fun game by comparison to the other ones. The art direction was cool, the cyberpunk aesthetic was nice, all of the kind of motif was great because they had like artificial scan lines, and a lot of games were like doing that, even in the indie scene around that time. Like, It had the feel, it had the DNA, and it was a darn good speed game because it was broken to shit. We ended up making categories for any percent, 100%, low percent, which only I ever completed a run for low percent, I think, and even that was just, like, painful.
I mean, that's how low percent tends to go.
It can be, yeah, but, like, many of the tricks in the game require just precision that isn't really changed with the hardware that, like, has come along in the last 10 years for computer gaming. Things have gotten faster, load times have gotten faster, but that's only, like, a minuscule thing for, like, games like this, and even then, like, people that are dedicated to, like, the communities and stuff can kind of time out the load times in games and just, like, figure out how fast this person actually went to complete the game. It really is a subjective thing and community-based, and like I said, the community has kind of decided to lay its hat down and move on into the rest of our lives, basically. Overall, how does the game hold up nowadays compared to, like, most Metroidvanias? It's a flashy game, yes, but, like, when you're comparing it to something like a Guacamelee or an Ori, or even like some of the new stuff out there, like the new Prince of Persia or Tales of Kendezu, Zhao. I'm probably horribly mispronouncing that, and I apologize. In
Always
the
and
flashy
forever
department, it's
mispronouncing.
definitely been superseded. In the combat and stuff department, there's been a lot of evolutions in Metroidvanias from like Dread and Hollow Knight and other players in this space. But like Strider still is like a point in time and a game in time that I would say is still worth revisiting for like $5 or so if you can find it on sale. And often it does go on sale, and it still runs on most computers. So it definitely is a product of 2014, and it will forever be, as the community has pretty much like taken that moniker and like applied it to the game. That's not the official title of it, mind you, but darn it, that's really what I have to say about that. This game, it really was important to me for another reason. It let me find glitches and exploit them and find my own personal talents through that. Like, bug hunting became something I did when I was older and, like, knew a little more about, like, software development and things. I did programs for HackerOne and stuff, but, like, never really had the level of success that I found with, like, hunting for bugs in speedrunning games. Like I mentioned before, I had 30 different games that I run. The bugs that I found in most of the stuff, like, changed the landscape of how these games were played. The understanding that came from just, like, sitting down with a game long enough to kind of, like, focus on every little aspect of, like, where things happen. Not in the software, mind you, but, like, physically brute forcing things. Like, that taught me a lot. And it's still those lessons that I carry with me today. It taught me a lot about people, too. Through my travels through all sorts of other states and things. Like, I got to see Smash the Record in Florida. I got to go to Minnesota. I got to go to Virginia for AGDQ and SGDQ. I even got to go to the little meetups that the grassroots community matters when you're starting out and doing these sorts of things. So a little speedrun meetup in Ohio with like 6 people, that matters a lot. And darn it, like, that's how you just start something amazing. Kind of like the show that I'm kind of doing here and seeing my friend in Indiana in a couple of months here. So we're hoping to kind of make this more of a thing. Kind of like the way I did it years ago. Time has moved on through speedrunning, and here we are today. I don't mean to be too humble about this or just, like, overwrite anyone's feelings about how they interacted with me years ago, but, like, I feel that there's a lot of things I did that were regrettable, and I'm okay with saying that, and I'm okay with owning those things up as we kind of grow here.
Right.
And I'm always open to conversation. I'm always open to feedback from others, and I'm hoping the Reddmasq Podcast can recapture a little bit of that magic I left on the table, playing games for people like Magic Tricks many years ago as speed games. And Red, I know you're just patient with me, but thank you for helping me along this whole journey here as well. Being there for me, being awesome. Do you have anything to add to this?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing you come into Indiana. I'll show you to all the billion churches and food places we have.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to explain that joke really fast because for a time, I played Pikmin Bloom because it's Pikmin and it was a lot more casual than Pokemon Go. I fell off of Pokemon Go because it would require me too much of me in a way, and which is pretty hilarious considering what it is. But Pikmin Bloom was a lot more casual and not nearly as attention requiring, so I stuck with it for a lot longer. And whenever you do like a mushroom battle or pick up a specific kind of fruit or a flower, you would get a postcard which you could send to a friend for basically no reason other than to be nice.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like Pokestops.
Yep, you and I played together, and I would send you my postcards, and every single one of them was of a church.
It literally was. Yeah, like I'd just be walking through like a graveyard or something, or just like the park near me has a zoo, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna send this nice postcard, and you just kept sending me churches. It's just like, is there anything to do over there? Honestly,
no.
I'm happy to find out in person soon.
Yeah, there's like one thing near me that's actually different, and I've already gone there with another friend, and it was really good.
The arcade,
but God, Yeah, the little arcade that's near me. That's
Yeah.
more. It's like modernized. I think we talked about it last time. Did we?
Right.
Did
Yeah,
we talk
we
about
did.
it at all?
We had it on the
With
show
the
like 3 episodes ago. Yeah, you're good.
Oh yeah, and I talked about how I decimated my friend at Mario and Sonic. But yeah, so that's about like the only interesting thing here. Because the other things I'm thinking about are like in middle school, I used to go roller skating. I used to go to. There's also like movie theaters, but that's like the problem I have with movie theaters is that you spend several hours just sitting there watching a movie, which is great, but I want to talk to people.
Exactly, right.
I don't want to just sit there and watch something because it's not what I'm looking for when I hang out with somebody
The social
in a weird
aspect
way.
of it is very important, yeah. And just like
Yeah.
out and just in a community, just trying to make friends. You got to plan events. You got to go do things, which is why we're going to be at the Indiana Vintage Computer Festival. That's the real event that I'm going out there to show you and to bring a bunch of old like computer gear to show off. Do you want to play Pokemon on a calculator? I bet you do.
What Pokemon would it?
Actually, I got Pokemon Sapphire running on there pretty well.
Oh my god, I was expecting Red, Blue, Yellow, and instead you brought in Gen 3. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it runs pretty
Can't
nice. Except it doesn't have sound because it's a calculator. What do you expect?
I mean, imagine that. Yeah, I can't believe a calculator doesn't have great sound or any sound at that matter.
I think there would be a workaround for this sort of thing. It's the TICX1 that we're talking about here, by the way, if anyone's interested. But like, calculator games are a nostalgia factor in and of itself that we don't have a segment planned for, so I have no idea where to go from this. I also have Quake on it, though.
We don't have to talk about it if you don't want. It's just like, it was more of just a funny gag.
It is. But yeah, a bunch of computer stuff. I have a computer for, like, the pile, as they're calling it there. I'll be donating an old gateway that, like, I swear does work if you hook it up to a monitor, but the screen's a little funky, and I can't get an OS running on it, but I'm sure somebody that has a 32-bit system can, if they're clever enough. You can run Linux on it. I want to run Windows on it, so darn it. And then, I got my vintage Tandy Coco 2 computer to bring up there. I've also got board games.
Hell yeah. What board games?
I showed you Donkey Kong, the Jenga version.
Oh my god, it's all the ones okay, it's all of those.
Yeah, it's both
Good
of
to
those,
know.
but there's all of those.
Good to know.
We'll probably find some like game store out there to just kind of like pilfer for a Mario Party of some kind as well.
I think I have to ask my parents for the Roller Coaster Tycoon board game we have.
Oh, that's sick.
We never really played it because you had to set up the fucking board, and the board was like setting up the board is a pain in the ass. But I do want to.
It's like Pokemon Master Quest because that game has a lot of pieces.
I've not heard of that. The only Pokemon.
No, that's the show. Pokemon Master Trainer, I think it is.
Well, the only Pokemon board game we've ever had was the Pokemon Monopoly, which was unique because they added a single mechanic. Which was like
I have a dumb video to show you after this. Have you ever seen videos from Jwitz?
I recognize the name.
The Jwitz, he did a bunch of like Pokemon trading card game videos as well, like years ago.
I recognize the name, which is like I'm trying to remember who, because I know I've seen his shit. I just can't remember when and how. A name from a bygone era that I haven't kept up with. I'm familiar with him.
I'll introduce you to some stuff after the show here.
Yeah, but I was going to say
the Pokemon Master Trainer section, and that video is there, so it's funny.
I want to talk about, but like the one thing they added to Pokemon Monopoly was just like if you rolled doubles, depending on what doubles you rolled, you could get a special ability. So like the two that I always remember was like if you roll Snake Eyes, instead of moving, you can just stay where you're at and get $200 like you just passed go. That was supposed to be similar to Jigglypuff's Rest, as it said in the manual. If you rolled double sixes, you could just teleport wherever the fuck you wanted, like you were Mewtwo.
Ha.
So double sixes, double ones were like some of the really good ones because you had like the most freedom.
Absolutely, want to clever that up. Roller Coaster Tycoon board game is where we got. We went on a really nice tangent there.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of board games. I'm not super into board games because I'm a video gamer. I have a friend who I think currently lives in, where is Cedar Point? What state?
It's like an amusement park in Ohio.
Yeah, so okay, so it's the same as Kings Island. They're both in Ohio.
Yeah.
Cedar Point calls itself the fucking roller coaster capital of the world because they were a major player in like the roller coaster wars and they've just built a shit ton. And so he's like the guy who keeps, whenever we ever happen to hang out for whatever reason, we try and play board games, and it's always just like I just don't connect with them all that much.
Look.
But I do give it the old college try at the very least.
Good on you for it. Shows good spirit, but also just like what you're around is just like another thing that influences like if you're gonna play like board games or something. Because like where I'm from, we have like Millennium Games and Hamburger Anime, which is like, oh, both of those places host a Pokemon card game. I guess what I played for a while. Yeah, I got into the card game. Fuck you. I got into the card game when I was in middle school, high school, and then I came back to it on my first trip around college. And eventually, I stayed long enough to actually help run the place. The comic book store owners trusted me enough to be the Pokemon professor for a little bit, so I gave it my old college try, and It was great. And that ended with the pandemic, because that was exactly when that started. I was bringing hand sanitizer for all the kids like the day before they decided, nope, all businesses have to close.
Damn.
It was brutal for a lot of people in a lot of ways, myself included. But, yeah, my point about that is it is dependent on what you are around. Maybe there's a game store in your area we can kind of check out, or something.
I'm sure they exist. I'm just not paying attention.
Right, and video games are interesting, so that's also a, quote, problem. But it's a good problem to have.
Yep. God, I'm trying to remember how the Roller Coaster Tycoon board game goes. Because what I mostly remember is that you have to, like, you all go around the board trying to take the various attractions to build for yourself. But I forget how all the mechanics work. I rarely played it, so I rarely ever got to really get it ingrained in my head.
Oh, yeah, it's got, like, a mini, like, setup over there, too, for each player.
Oh, yeah. So. The fucking setup.
Got a game
like,
of life
every time...
sort of, like, circular board thing going on.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, technically you don't need to set up the board until you get the attraction. You don't have to set up everything until, and even then it's like, why, you can just skip that, honestly. It's neat, but it's not, it's all just graphic stuff.
Extraneous stuff. But it's for Max Effect, so I think if we have the parts, we'll try it.
This isn't fucking Mousetrap. You don't need to run the thing every time. The whole point of Mousetrap is that you get to see the thing run.
I mean, I could talk about some games that are going on with Evo here. I've seen a couple of things about this. I saw Max's stream where he was interviewing one of the tournament organizers on, like, the new venue. They're basically, like, building an arena inside of the main location that they're hosting it in. I don't think they actually have the Mandalay Bay this year. It's, like, at a different location. The main exhibition area, I would assume, is going to have just, like, the ring and, like, the rising, like, bleachers and everything for, like, people to just watch all the games in the finals. Like, they're changing up the formula for EVO, and they're also kind of changing up some of the games. But not too much has changed, because now we have an incremental Tekken upgrade. Tekken 8 is making its showing there. As well as the expected stuff, Street Fighter 6, Unib, Mortal Kombat 1 has had its upgrade, KOF 15 is going to be there, Guilty Gear Strive is going to be there, Grand Blue Fantasy, and one mystery game, which they spoiled 3 days into that announcement. That is Third Strike. It's not so much a mystery game anymore now that PlayStation is kind of at the helm leading everything that's going on with it. But, like, Third Strike's also a very safe choice. It's a very good choice. It's also a very sad choice because it's kind of a, quote, sterile game compared to the Marvel vs. Capcoms that they've had years before, or, like, even Darkstalkers. We're never going to see Darkstalkers again, are we, Capcom?
I mean, Darkstalkers are still in Project Cross Zone.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a dead game, too. That's not a fighting game.
Fucking... Well, they also reference it in Street Fighter 6, okay?
They do, yes.
And again, you are Luke.
People that are holding on to hope. Wait, why do you say that again?
Why am I saying that again? Because I showed you the fucking cutscene.
Hey, we can play this new fighting game, Red. Do you want to play Outfoxies with me? I'm sure I'll be pretty okay at it.
It's neither one of us have played it. We'll be on equal footing. I mean, sure, you've been playing it for you've been playing fighting games for years and have the mentality and muscle memory from various other games, but it'll be fine.
Honestly, if you want an interesting tournament experience, just as watch as a viewer at home, Frosty Faustings every year their mystery game tournament does crazy stuff. Seamless edit to say this is actually Combo Breaker from 2022. The craziest I think I recall is Bennett Foddy's Multi-Bowl. That game is nuts. You have to actually sit down and watch people play old-ass arcade games that are just long forgotten, lost media, and just WarioWare style. That's what that game is. It's the most obscure thing ever. They can't release it because it's copywritten, and I love it. I love watching people play it.
I love Bennett Foddy.
You have to get over it.
Quap. I don't have anything.
No, that was the perfect flop right there, because the Quap is basically your flop, so there you go. PlayStation at the helm of EVO is just gonna make the event. It's gonna be expected. Woo!
Do you think there'll be side tournaments for freak fights?
Oh yeah, of course. There's still gonna be side tournaments for stuff. I'm sure they'll be playing all sorts of Kusoge there, just on the side, and that'll be worth watching too.
Yeah, but I mean Freak Fighter.
Oh, I wonder if someone will host a side tournament for that.
Just a little, maybe not even a side tournament, but just people getting together to fight with their bullshit characters just for the funsies.
Right. Just you would have to bring your own PlayStation though, wouldn't you? Just to kind of get in on that.
Or just bring your own damn laptop. I don't know.
True.
I don't know how these. If you have that's the problem.
You gotta have a decent gaming laptop to play Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 or Mortal Kombat 1 these days. Hardware bump.
I wish games were more optimized.
This episode does not have a sponsor. We just want to bring people in to kind of take a look at the show, see what we have going on. If they like us, support us. Go to coffee.com/mask31 and check out our page, and feel free to consider donating.
Anyway, sports ball. Instead of video game punching ball, sports ball. We're recording this on Super Bowl weekend, which means there's a bunch of Super Bowl ads that we don't know about. But there are some that we do know about, and as Sega nerds, we are obligated to tell you about Paramount's Super Bowl ad for a bunch of series like Halo, and, who cares, there was Knuckles in it.
Do I seriously count as a Sega nerd because I'm playing Yakuza?
Technically, also we geeked out at the game trailers, 5 Sega game announcements, so...
I mean, that is fair. I mean, I just appreciate the company. I don't know. It's hard to call myself specifically a Sega nerd, because it's what?
We are more under the video game umbrella, but when it comes to quality stuff that's old and new, Sega is where it kind of lands a lot. We had a Super Bowl ad. They're just touting the new Knuckles series. That is going to be on Paramount Plus. It's a 6-part miniseries, and they brought the hat back from the Sonic OVA in that, which is really classy. It also addresses the complaint I had last episode about Knuckles' new voice actor. The tone of voice kind of matches up to, I guess, where they're going with that.
Right. I'm just happy he has his old cowboy hat.
Yeah, it's nice. Sonic had to die for that.
Yeah, well, it was a worthy death.
I mean, it's not the only time he died. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog was a game, too.
What would Sonic do? He would play his Game Gear with a really weird special stage on it that you died at multiple times. How does it feel to be bad?
Think. And I don't.
the later ones do get pretty... The later mini games in
the special
in the
stages
murder...
They do get rough.
They get real tough if you're not ready for them. But
yeah.
it's low stakes. You just try again.
No
if you
penalty,
fuck up.
Yeah. But
the penalty is you have to do it again because you're bad. But you know, I just want to say something really fast.
Please do.
Well, there's a couple things actually. I'm so happy that who's the guy who plays Robotnik in the movie? I'm blanking on his name.
Jim
He's so
Carrey's
popular.
back.
Jim Carrey.
Fuck
Carrey.
Yeah.
I am aware of how he chooses his roles, where he doesn't like doing sequels because he doesn't want to play the same goddamn character twice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if him playing Robotnik all 3 times is I'm not sure how to take that, because that's implying that his characterization just keeps fucking changing.
Look, he did The Mask. The Mask 2 got canceled, and then there was Son of the Mask. So Jim Carrey can do long roles. I guess there's enough changing up for that.
Did he do Son of the Mask?
I feel like he did. Or at least cameoed.
So. I don't think he did it. I don't think he did it. I don't know. You'd have to look that one up. But here's the other thing I wanted to say was I'm so happy.
No wonder. This movie is terrible.
Yeah, of course it is.
You got me.
Yeah, but he's been on record saying he doesn't like to do it. He tries to get new roles because he wants to evolve himself as an actor, which is respectable. And him playing Robotnik all 3 times is like, damn. Holy shit, how much does Robotnik change throughout all these goddamn stories? It's crazy. The other thing I wanted to say, though, because we're getting the Sonic 3 movie and the Knuckles series, they're doing Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
They're doing Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Technically Sonic 2 was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and no, I don't know. Why is Christopher Lloyd playing an echidna?
Why is Patchamack being a bowling guy? What is that about? Why has he went from traveling his daughter and Chow to running a bowling alley? What the fuck is happening in this goddamn? What is happening? What a glow up! But also, what?
I don't know if they're actually doing any shadow promotion until the proper movie, but they are doing like a whole game about it, which got announced about a week ago or so. So, what are your thoughts on Sonic X Shadow Generations?
I can't believe where Black Doom has returned. I can't believe we're going back to the gun Sonic.
All hail Shadow.
All of me.
Yeah, like they're bringing back all the stops. Like, they are acknowledging the bad side of that era. They're looking back and laughing on it, which is a good thing to do.
And to be fair, they still gave us a Sonic 06 level in Generation, so they're not above it. It's just like, I figured Shadow the Hedgehog would be just like a step too far in a direction that they haven't touched in years, and be like, do we really want to give Shadow, do we really want to talk about Shadow having a gun again? And I guess the answer is, fuck it, yeah, let's do it.
With him getting his own movie, I feel like people are gonna either take it the wrong way, a la Pale World, and just run with it, or they acknowledge it, as Sega has always done with, like, their fan stuff. It's like, oh, we're going to acknowledge what people do with our works, be it modifications, be it art, be it culture. Hell, they even acknowledge Sonic.
Yeah.
This whole, like, game is a Generations, like, remaster as well, so, like, you'll get the best of that, which is nice.
Yeah.
Also, it gives people another example of just Googling memes about Sonic X Shadow, and like, look, I'm not saying
kids,
that I
look
did
up
that.
Sonic X Shadow.
I'm not saying that I did that for research for the show. I'm just saying that there's a fucking t-shirt out there with Sonic and Shadow kissing, and it says Joe Rogan on it. And amazing. I'm not saying that's a coincidence that we're now on Spotify, but we're on
Spoofy, y'all.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, by the way.
Thank you for listening. I'm so happy that when you announced that in the server, you said we're not on Spotify. I was like, yeah, fuck Spotify specifically.
Fucking.
It was typos. Really funny.
Typos.
Like, I thought it was hilarious. I'd just be like, we're not on Spotify. I would love to be
counterculture, but if I put us on Google Podcasts, that's just going away in 2 months because it's going to the Google graveyard.
Shoutouts to Google Video.
Everything Google dies. Google is where all of your dreams go to die.
With Google, they just bought YouTube. That was their solution.
Yeah. Buying all of the media ever that's going to be released in the next 20 years in the form of YouTube. I will say,
Google Video was how I got around my parents banning me from watching YouTube.
Clever.
Because it wasn't YouTube. It was Google Video. And then I got in trouble for watching the AVGN. Because he swears a lot.
Yep. For me, it was Screw Attack.
Those were one and the same, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they did a partnership with Cinemassacre for a while, and it was a thing. Remember Game Trailers too? They had a partnership with Screw Attack.
That's how I remember watching a lot of their stuff. Was I went to Game Trailers to watch the AVGN, and I watched some Screw Attack. It wasn't a lot, but I did watch and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Handsome Tom and Stuttering Craig.
And Nervous Nick.
I'm not familiar with him.
He was
anyways,
anyway.
Screw Attack rebranded into Death Battle. So
yeah,
that's where they're at.
And I don't like that. I'm old. No, also, we can't talk about Screw Attack without talking about an all-time great of the show with his own music video, Keith Apicary. Keith Apicary was on America's Got Talent.
Oh, shit.
What the actual... I am so proud of this man. What a glow-up. Okay, we're talking about this.
Take me on your magic carpet ride.
Okay. I have to break this story. So, Keith Apicary, his gamer character, who touted the Neo Geo back in the Screw Attack era, he had a little music video. Like, look, we are in 2021. We're seeing him June 1st, 2021. Keith Apicary brings amazing dance maneuvers on stage. Look at this man. He's got his Game Boy Advance SP with the power hookup on it, and he's given his interview. I am so proud of him.
I'm watching it right now.
I'm reacting to this. I don't know if he gets kicked off. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Well, how long ago was this video uploaded?
I told you, June 1st, 2021. The Neo Geo music video was March 8th, 2010.
I just want to see it. I just want to see him do dancing.
Is that Simon Cowell? Yeah, that's Simon Cowell.
Yeah, Simon Cowell.
Simon, like, and then Heidi Klum. Yeah. Oh, and then Howie Mandel. Yeah.
This is some shit you would see on Family Matters.
Kind
fucking
of
killing it. It's like it's good, but it's like it's my favorite kind of like it's so good. It's also dorky, and I love it.
That's Keith Apicary's thing. Like, he's unsuspectingly charming. Like, he knows what he's doing. I'm so glad he's got this so many years later.
So good.
Look at those knees.
Dad ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that.
Yeah.
He's got that Urkel charm.
He really does. He's always had that too. Like, look at this guy.
He fell off.
There's no way he falls off the stage. Oh god, he does.
He does, and it's part of the act. Learning how to take a fall is really good stuff.
He didn't get dinged by a single judge.
That was seriously like just the Urkel energy was off the charts. And Urkel's the most charming nerd known to...
I'm so glad we got to talk about Keith Apicary on this show. God damn, I love this guy. Can we get an interview with him? I would love to have him on the podcast. Keith, if you're listening, feel free to ring us. He's not listening. I hope he listens. I am hoping that he listens.
I hope for a lot of things in this world.
Feel free to email us, podcast@mask31.dev. We'd love to have you on the show as one of our first guests. Do you want to talk about Project Cross Zone and then blend Yakuza into that? Because we can't make it back from that tangent.
Oh my god. Can I just say really... I just want to say something really fast. I'm going to
tease the April Fool's Day episode that we're totally going to do with totally real games, but before that, how about we take a big trip back in time to a game where you had to basically control it with a tiny little remote, and it was a very famous game. And god dang it, why are they bringing back the CDI Zelda controller? I don't fucking get it. It's not even just the Zelda games, it's just the whole CDI controller.
Well, it's the CDI controller for the CDI Zelda-inspired video game.
If you actually look at the ABGN episode for the CDI, he goes over 4 controller types. One with a stick at the top, that's a traditional controller. One with 3 buttons like a normal controller. One that's a remote control for the TV, the proper CDI remote control. And one that is a spoon. He describes it as a spoon. We got the spoon remade with USB support. I don't get it.
Hey, I think it is just this is why vinyl is coming, vinyl music came back, because it was just fuck it. But I mean,
It's terrible,
it's just like,
it's scratchy, it's crackly. We love it.
yeah, it's like, fuck it, bring it back.
Absolutely. I'm for that. That's why I'm the sucker that pre-ordered this thing. I don't pre-order video games. The only thing I've pre-ordered in the last 2 years is this stupid controller. Please help me.
You're too far gone, I'm sorry to say.
I think I am, yeah. It's kind of crazy. And that's our show, folks. Thanks for listening this week.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We are hosted on mask31.dev/the-Reddmasq-podcast. You can also find us on Pocket Casts and wherever great podcasts are found.